Let's eat with local products and from right here in the North Peace. This is Energetic Eats, brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op. You're at home here.
I've got something to admit. When I started Energetic Eats, we're getting close to a year now. This was one of the first people I had in mind for a segment like this, and I'm so glad to be talking to them today. And we're going to be testing out, if you're watching the video, this delicious Cinnabon cake in just a few minutes, but it's just one of the many delicious things you can get now at Cass's Kitchen. And joining me from Cass's Kitchen is Cass. Good morning, Cass. Welcome to Energetic Eats.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for taking some time to do this today. So, of course, if anybody's visited your store or many of the stores around Fort St. John and now Grand Prairie and other places, they know you for your kind of cupcakes, your candy, your chocolate. You got kind of a sweet tooth is what you're really selling at Cass's Kitchen. I wanted to start at the beginning. So, I mean, what got you into this sort of business, and why did you start selling it and deciding to make it, kind of your life's work and your job?
Well, originally the reason was I was off on maternity leave, and I needed something to do. So I don't know anybody that doesn't just sort of like to bake or play in the kitchen. It's my sanctuary, I guess. It's always been the place where you can just sort of relax. And I wanted to help supplement the income at home because I stopped working. I was management at the mall for retail. So we just started with that, and it kind of spiraled. It was mostly cakes and cupcakes to begin with. And then as we started to grow, we kind of started adding a few other things like caramels, a little bit of chocolate. And then we decided we wanted to kind of really keep pushing it because it made no sense to go back to work. By the time you pay for daycare and expenses, it just didn't make sense. So it made more sense for me to be at home, and it just sort of spiraled from there.
I see. Did you have, and we're going to talk about kind of how you got to where you are today a bit, but did you have that ambition from the beginning, thinking I might one day open a store, I might sell my products in other stores, or did you start thinking this will be something to do, as you say, kind of at night or before the kids are, awake or whatever, as you say, to just supplement your income, and that's kind of all it'll ever be?
It started out as just something to do, like to keep me busy, but to stay home and make some money. It was kind of small, but then it turned into cakes were literally every day, all night. It didn't matter.
Wow.
So when that sort of started spiraling, we sort of realized that there was an opportunity. And I'm the kind of person that's always owned my own businesses and kind of, it's just what my nature. So I just kind of kept growing, and it's spiraled into something way bigger. And now we have much bigger plans.
Yeah, I'll say you, before we got on the air here, you had said, I think you started the kind of actual thing under your house around 2015. You had the commercial kitchen 3 years later. And then since then, it's just kind of skyrocketed. And especially in the last year. I bought some chocolates from you last May. You were still working out of your house over at Charlie Lake. Since then, the store is open. You've expanded to selling stuff in co-ops in Grand Prairie here in town. You're selling stuff at Safeway. It's been an incredible year for you, hasn't it?
It has. When we opened the store, we had honestly looked at opening the store a year earlier, but COVID was something that really kind of played on what to do.
Yep.
So when we finally spent a year of COVID and realized we weren't going downhill in any way, shape, or form, we decided to make the move. We opened the store in June, and from June until November, we had kind of added on a couple of the co-ops and the Petrocan on the highway. But in November, we added in Safeway, and it just was ironic, the timing. But Safeway started, and the second we were going into Safeway, we got calls from Grand Prairie from a grocery store there. And then we got a call from Valley View, and we had a grocery store there. So over the Christmas season, we were filling those two grocery stores as well as Safeway. And then there was a third one at the end that took in an order. So there were 3 co-op grocery stores between Grand Prairie and Valley View that we filled up for Christmas. And they'll be a seasonal thing, but they're not a year round, where Safeway is year round. They carry a very large amount of our products, candies, bombs, chocolates. So they just started with box chocolates and toffees this week. So They have a huge selection for us. But
Wow.
the Co-op Corporation has been phenomenal. We have 3 stores here. We have one in Grand Prairie or in Dawson, and then we've got the 5 gas bars in Grand Prairie. So they've been an amazing company to work with for sure.
It's outstanding. I want to talk to you a bit about making everything. Obviously baking. If you know how to bake, it's kind of like that, though maybe on a more professional level. But the chocolates and stuff I find really interesting. Is that really labor intensive to kind of make the chocolates you do and the bombs and stuff? Say, for example, for upcoming Valentine's Day. Last year you did stuff for May the 4th in celebration of Star Wars. Is that a lot of work? And kind of how do you make that work?
Well, it depends which way you're looking at it. So as far as the stuff that's like a shape or like Star Wars, luckily we have molds. So that does a lot of the work. It's still time consuming and it takes some work, but it's not as much work as stuff like the bombs where you're having to glue things together and fill them with things and then you add drizzles and honestly part of the major part for that as well is the packaging because every package that you have has labels and stickers and it has to be filled and things have to be glued in the right way so that they don't move or fall apart inside. So the overall process of it and everything included is very detailed. But once you get into it and you have a group of people that all kind of know their role and they do their section really well, it works a lot better. The chocolates, we've been really doing that for, I don't know, forever. Got the molds from my grandmother from when I was a kid.
Wow.
She passed them on to me when she passed away. So that's kind of where it started. And then we've built the collection since then. I think we probably have about maybe 2,000 molds of different kinds of shapes and styles and designs. So that certainly helps. But the overall process takes a team. It really does. So I'm very fortunate to have the group of people I do that know how to do what they do.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, we've got a new product today that kind of harkens back to your baking start. It's a Cinnabon cake. So you've kind of taken that classic Cinnabon taste, I suppose, and put it in cake form. Can you tell me a bit about how you made this and what inspired you to make this?
Honestly, because I can't make a cinnamon bun. It's something I just can't do. And I've been asked numerous times to make, like, can you make a great cinnamon bun? I'm like, yeah, no, I really can't. But we can definitely make a cinnamon cake. So it's kind of like a cinnamon bun on top and cake on the bottom, the best of both worlds.
It really is. Oh, my goodness. So this is just you failing at making cinnamon buns, essentially.
You would be amazed at how many things that we create come from failing something else.
Outstanding. Yeah. And this is really lovely. Like you say, it's, kind of cinnamon bun on top, cake on the rest. And it's moist. It's delicious. It's outstanding. And you've only had this product for a bit, hey?
Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks. The bonus of it really is, so when I bought the first one home to my husband so we could have it at our house, it literally sat on a counter with a fork beside it for a week, where you just kind of walk by and take a bite on your way through.
Yeah.
And it stays nice and moist for a week, where a cinnamon bun is definitely not going to. So it actually has turned out to work out better, in my opinion, than a cinnamon bun. I like cinnamon buns, but I find by day 2, you're kind of getting them dried out. This is... With a cake, it stays nice and fresh for a good week. You're like lots of time. So I like to very much follow what everybody wants. If somebody likes a certain flavor or a certain thing, we would love to help. But we also pride ourselves on not doing what everybody else does. We try to do our own thing with our own little bit of a twist. So, people like Black Forest cake. Well, we do cakes, but it's not something we do a lot. So we do a Black Forest cup, where you can have a single serve in a cup and it's got everything in it exactly the same way. We try to just take the big things and twist them so that there are things. So this is an example of that for us.
Yeah, and it's an outstanding example. I would definitely recommend this or any of the many things that Cass makes at Cass's Kitchen. So tell us, in brief, if you can, where can we find your products? Because there's a lot of places now where we can kind of come and pick up the various things that you make, isn't there?
Yeah, so for the most part in Fort St. John, we have our store. It's at 8612 100 Ave, so we're right across from Robert Ogilvie. We have our website, so you can always order on there. But we have a huge amount of stores that help us. Fort St. John, Dawson, and Grand Prairie. Locally, I'll try alphabetically because then I get this right. There's Canadian Grind. There are the 3 co-ops in town on 91st, 100, and 114th. Petrocan on the highway. And then we have some stuff at the North Peace Gallery and at the North Peace Museum. In Grand Prairie, we have 5 different co-op gas bars. So there's downtown Royal Oak, Stone Ridge, Westgate, and Trader Ridge. And then in Dawson Creek, we have the co-op gas bar. We also have the Roadhouse in Eris. And then, of course, our biggest right now is you can get the largest selection at Safeway in town.
All right. Well, that's just wonderful. Cass'sKitchen.com is the website, I believe.
Yes, and there's 3 S's, so it's CASSS kitchen.com. So it's definitely there. If you check us out on Facebook, we can always help you find what you're looking for too.
Excellent. Well, Cass, again, I know you've been so busy. I've asked you several times to come on the show, and I'm just too busy. I'm grateful. I'm grateful you found some time for us today and brought us some cake for me to try. This Cinnabon cake for me to try out. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Energetic Eats is brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op.